Howdy and welcome back. Today we're going to be continuing our process of getting our melee attack in. This is going to see us reworking how some of our code is structured and getting everything set up to do the melee attack. So again, this is part 2. The previous part saw us build our sprite for our axe swing and the hitbox for the axe swing. We also created a placeholder enemy object or sprite. I just have a box for my testing purposes. We also created the axe object and the enemy object. And if we check over to our testing room, I've placed the objects in here. Now, before we jump into completely resetting all of our player code, I'm going to create a restart object. And so this is obj_room restart. This is just a simple key pressed. And then if I hit the tab key, I just want to restart room _restart. All this does is this allows us to restart a room. We can throw this object anywhere that we expect to have to do a lot of restarting, such as our testing environment in our testing room. We don't need a sprite. All we need is a key pressed event. Under other, I have tab. You can set it to any key that you don't expect to be using or accidentally hitting. And so if we go to our room, I'm going to quickly throw in my room restart object just anywhere. I'm just running inside my enemy layer. It's right there. So that way, whenever I do run this, I jump into the room restart, then we'll be able to, or jump into the testing room here, run around. And let's say I've tested everything. I've killed all the enemies. I can hit tab. It restarts me back at the top. That way everything spawns back in and we're able to test something else. So with that out of the way, the room restart object, again, all it has is a key press event for room restart. Now the big thing is we're going to restructure how our player object works. So first we're going to go to our create event for our player object. And we're going to add two things. One, we're going to have a variable representing our state. This is going to represent what is our character currently doing. State is equal to player state dot, and I'm going to give it a name of what the current state will be, but I'm going to have it be free. They're free to do whatever they want. But this by itself doesn't mean anything because we need to create an enumerator. So we can do enum player state, then just keep this capitalized. And so there is the free state, comma, the attack state, attack _ melee. And those are the two states that we're going to have for the moment. State is equal to player state dot free, and we're going to eventually switch into a melee state in the future. And so this just creates the list. And we start off in the free state, but this doesn't mean much to us. This is accessible everywhere by anyone. That's one of the benefits of having an enumerated list such as this. Given this name, we can specify which state it's going to be in, and then we can use this as a state machine. In our step event, we're going to go ahead and restructure this a little bit. First, we're going to add a key to represent our attack. So I'm going to do this key _ attack, and this is going to be equal to, let me go ahead and clear off this, zoom in a bit for y'all. Key underscore attack, and this is going to be a mouse check button. And I'm going to do press because I only want this to happen once. A mouse button underscore right. So if I right mouse click, it'll perform an attack. But we need to actually use this. And to fully set this up, I need to create something new, something we haven't worked with before, a script. I'm going to right click on the scripts folder and create a brand new script. Make sure you rename it here right now. This is going to be called player state underscore free. And it automatically renames it there. You need to make sure these things match up. Otherwise, you'll have problems. I'm also going to create another script. Player state underscore attack. And so we've got two scripts, both empty at the moment. Let's go back to our player object. And you see the states are going to match what we're going to do. Let me quickly rename this attack melee. I'll just leave it as attack. That's sufficient. Unless you end up wanting to have more than one melee attack. This works out just fine for our purposes. Now in our step event, I'm going to want to restructure it and use the scripts to determine what our player does. So our player state free script, I'm actually going to copy all of this code, everything except for our player inputs. We're gonna cut this, go to player state free. Inside of here, I'm going to place all of my code. I'm gonna shift this over too. And so now whenever player state free is run, it does all of this. And since we're going to run it from our player object, it'll reference the correct variables as needed. So let's go back to our object player. In our step event, we're going to have a switch statement, switch off of the current state and specify our case. If our state is player state dot free, then what we want it to do is, let's see, colon space. Then what we want is to call the function player state underscore free, open and close parentheses. It'll call this function, the script that we just wrote down here. It'll run that, everything will be fine, no issues. Break to close off that case. And our other case, player state dot attack. This is gonna, of course, call our attack melee. This is, of course, going to call our player state underscore attack function, and then break to end that. So right now, this is all we've got. We only have two states. We may end up adding additional states later on, but we have the foundation here in place for that expansion. Now, assuming that I copied everything over correctly, we're currently not addressing us actually attacking. Right now, we should be able to run the program and confirm that everything is still working. Let's build it. Jump into our testing room. I can still move around just fine. It appears that the script is working out fine. Right clicking, we don't know if it's working or not, but I can hit tab and do that. So we have now moved our scripts around and restructured our code to be ready to do our attack steps. And so that's where I'll close it off for this one. Tomorrow, or our next video, will address actually bringing in the code that performs the attack. That one's a bit more complicated, and that script we're going to work on in the next video. What we did today, we first created a restart room object using the tab key. It just restarts the room. And I'm throwing that into our testing room for our conveniences. I then, over in our script folder, we created two scripts: player state underscore attack, player state underscore free. In our player object, we, in the create event, added a state and told it, starting off, you're in the free state. And under here, we created an enumeration off of player state that is free or attack melee state. Over in our step event, we took all of the code that we had below the player input and placed it inside the player state underscore free script. Threw it in there, no modifications, just moved it in. Then updated our player objects to include a key attack. Mine is just using the right mouse button. And then I have a switch case structure based off of the state. If they're in the free state, run the free script. If they're in the attack melee state, run the attack script. Currently, our attack script is empty because the next video will address that. So if you have any questions or need any assistance, just let me know. Otherwise, that's all I've got for y'all today. Everyone have a good one.